my good friends, Serena, with me. She is a master practitioner with the Doc of Detox, and she is the pain-free pelvis and restoration instructor, and she has quite a story. Serena, how are you today? It's nice that we were able to catch up.
Finally,
I think you're
I
sitting
may
on the
be.
table, aren't you, holding your computer in the air?
I'm trying to get some light to my face.
But it
I'm
makes you
sorry.
gorgeous. It makes you gorgeous. So, you know what? Where there's a will, there's a way, right?
I beg your pardon?
I said, where there is a will, there's a way.
Right. I was up
Yeah.
and ready for the for the pelvic restoration meeting, but obviously my time was wrong, so I'm an hour ahead or 40 minutes ahead.
No, you're
So
not. You're just
I'm with
ready for.
Alicia.
You're just ready to talk to me. Can you tell me where, like, at the moment you are? You just took a course. What course did you just take?
I've just finished a somatic oh pelvic course with a lady who is teaching in LA
Oh
before
wow.
I came back home, and then I arrived here and I did a couple more courses in one in Phuket, and now I'm back home with the grandchildren. The both courses were pelvic related courses. Um, One was more dealing with the energy within you to
Wow.
align yourself with the pelvis, which is where which is where all our they focus more on dreams, making dreams a reality through your pelvis, through your inner focus, and through meditation, um, and not so much with exercises, but a more spiritual pelvic. It's a very spiritual course for the pelvis, and the one I was in Phuket, and I taught a pelvic restoration course in Phuket. I did a 2-day workshop with some ladies there, and met a lady, a friend who had introduced me to the university, the university on the island that is conducting that teaches natural health, and they want to put the pelvic. They asked if I could. They will consider putting the pelvic course that I taught in here in Ixtapa
Hmm.
into the itinerary program for the students to learn. So I'm quite excited, but
Yeah.
it's quite exciting because they that in Asia it's such a taboo subject,
Yeah.
and he was the lady in charge, or the supervisor. So she was quite surprised that I, I showed her the pictures that the whole program we did in Ixtapa, and she was
Hmm.
quite surprised that this kind of course was attended by people in the West. And
Oh wow.
previously, I had only taught this on a private session, one-on-one, without so much diagrams and pictures. And this time, I had the privilege of permission granted by Mantak Chia and Daryl to use their um, illustrations, so I could form a kind of a program with the illustrations. And I
Yeah,
think the
that's great.
illustration did help a lot of people to understand how the energy flow and what our body parts is. So I'm quite excited.
Why? How have you all? I mean, besides having a pelvis and being a woman, what? Why have you been so inspired to like? Why? Why pelvis courses? Like, where is this coming from? Do you have a history? Do you have a history we
Yeah, I
should know
wasn't,
about?
like I said before, I did not join the course on Daryl's course to teach. But I was recovering from um, my my not my chemotherapy and radiations. I had 33 radiations towards done to me, so the result of that was
Wow.
quite devastating to my body. I looked fine on the outside, but the internal needed a lot of healing. And
Wow.
so I had to find a way to change my entire lifestyle, thinking, food, eating, even moving. So I started on a journey of checking out. I had always done Pilates and yoga, but I did not do it, focus on it seriously because I did not find the need to heal myself. So I had taught Pilates as a teacher and I taught yoga as a teacher. But this time I needed to learn how to really do it to heal myself spiritually and emotionally. So I went into a deeper yin yoga course. I did yin yoga instead of Ashtanga because Ashtanga, I thought I'm seeing everybody, oh, they can do this stand and I can do that. I'm going to learn how to do it. But there is more than just learning a process of movements
So
because
just
to
excuse me for
connect
just a
spiritual.
second. Ashunga, okay, I am not a yogi, and there's tons of people who don't know anything about yoga. So Ashunga, is that a more aggressive style of yoga, or is it
Yeah.
like what's the difference?
Well, see, you asked me that question. I don't know. See, this is interesting because when I learned yoga as everybody else learned in school, in a course, then I did a course to teach. That was it. So it was a superficial learning experience, a learning journey, and a superficial teaching as I followed the modalities that they taught in the program. Now this time, when I did yin, because I had to heal myself, I had to understand what is the healing modality that moves the body to heal. And then when I came to um, Daryl's course, the whole life course, I said, oh my goodness, it's emotion, heart, energy, spirit, all combined. Many have asked me since I came back, what makes your course special, different from other courses? There are many private courses you can get online. There are many people who are offering these courses. I said one thing, we combine all three. And I think the fact that whole life, Wolfe Non-Surgical with the pelvic course is such a beautiful combination. When I did a pelvic restoration course in Ixtapa a couple of years ago, I felt a missing connection. So that's when I said to Daryl, I can put more into it and bring this mindful connection of the three courses that you offer, the two courses that you
Yeah.
offer, into the private course as well. And then I think it's such a beautiful combination. It's the icing on the I call it the icing on the cake after having done the whole life course and the Wolf Non-Surgical,
Yeah.
because the pelvic course we forget it's at the bottom. It's at the bottom of our body. So the
No
brain,
pun
the heart,
intended.
and the so we it's kind of um,
Yeah.
numerically we go top, middle, bottom. So we forget the bottom part,
Yeah.
and which is the most important part, which is the gate of life and death, the lower dantian, where everything is connected down here. So we tend to ignore it or forget it, and we work so hard on the here to our brain, our heart, or and then we forget about the connection, the thing, the the organ that bring or rather the glands that bring both these together into the heart, into the pelvis.
Mm-hmm.
So when I worked with Daryl, actually on my second course of the whole life course, I said, holy moly, this course is amazing. It will help with uh the pelvic restoration. And I want to share this that the more since I've taught this course in Ixtapa, my pelvis has healed, is getting stronger because I had to do the exercises. I had to practice myself before I teach. So I
Yeah.
work on it almost every day, and I was amazed at how much I heal
So I want
from
to
it.
go back. I want to go back to you were telling the story about the yin, right? About and how and connecting and you didn't have or you didn't even know what this yin was and then you realized that it was connecting. I want to go back to your story. Like and how have you used what you've learned in yoga or how has that changed and now brought you into realizing it needs to come into what you're being passionate about now?
Alicia, can you speak louder? I cannot. How?
Oh, are we having technical difficulties again? So I was saying, I would love to have you go back into the yin and explain. So you were talking about you learning yoga, right? You learning yoga and how it you were just going through the motions, but then you understood the energy and how you've moved it into the pelvic course and what you're being passionate about now and your journey.
I'm not a yogi. I learned pi- to teach yoga, Pilates, and Yin yoga. So I combined the Yin yoga and the Pilates that I learned when I did a course in the pelvic restoration course in Ixtapa before, taught by somebody else. She came to me and she said, "Oh my goodness, you have a very strong pelvis." And I said, "Oh, I didn't know that." So she did some muscle testing for me, and she said, "What do you do?" I said, "I teach Yin yoga," and that was when I realized Yin yoga helps with the pelvis. Then I went on to study more about the pelvic restoration, pelvic health,
Hmm.
and I had very dry vaginal canal from the radiation, and I had UTI infections. It comes and go. It came and go. All this happened to me after my radiation. Before that, I had no pelvic issues, and I couldn't. I had painful lovemaking sessions, and no lovemaking. Don't touch me or leave me alone. But working on the since I've learning how to do the since I studied Yin yoga and I worked on myself spiritually. Um, Internally, I was healing muscle wise. But when I did the vaginal infusion, with I had a urinary tract infection and it kept coming and going. When I did the vaginal infusion from, I think Daryl talked about it on the show one day, and what maybe 18 months ago, I said, before I went to Ixtapa, I did it, and it healed me maybe after 2 sessions of infusion. That's why I'm a strong
Wow.
believer in the infusion. I had Now I have not had any UTI infection, no nothing, no pains, not no, and whenever I feel discomfort, I go for my vaginal infusion. But in the course that I'm teaching, oh, okay, before I taught the yoni egg, in the courses that I did in my journey for pelvic health, I did a couple of, I tried a couple of modalities that we have that they taught us to use. The one I found most complete and most helpful was the energy egg. Some call it the jade egg, some call it the yoni egg. I call it the energy egg because it gives me energy. It heals me. It gives me energy, and it
Wow.
somehow aligns me even emotionally. And since I taught a few people, I get amazing positive results from everyone. No, unless even those who have difficulty with getting the egg in and feel pain in the back, feel pain in the body, I advise them to take it out and realign themselves.
Mm.
The
Realign
exercises that
themselves.
we do,
Realign
yes,
themselves. Not a physical realign, but an actual a reintroduction and a centering. Is that what you mean by that? A centering?
centering, yeah, calm yourself. But uh, back to your question, yes, it was a slow step by step realizing that this connects with this and this connects with, and I needed this, and I thought, if it helps me, there must be other women. If this is happening to me, there must be many other women out there. But not every woman had been through radiation and chemotherapy, so they may not need this. So I did not think that it was necessary to teach in a broad group of people like in the Braveheart Nation. So I was coming back to go back to the I used to teach I volunteer at the Breast Cancer Foundation in Singapore to teach Yin yoga
Hmm.
and Pilates. So I was going to bring this back home and go back to the Cancer Society in Singapore to teach this program to the people who have been through chemo and radiation to help them regain their pelvic health, the vaginal wall, especially because it's very dry. Once you have chemo or radiation, your body is basically kaput, no more use
Hmm.
internally. So we have to work within ourselves to find our energy within ourselves to regain the health. And this pelvic restoration with the vaginal infusion, with all the with all the exercises, the breathing, the belly button, the clapping, they're all put together I put them all together and I thought, wow. So since I've been back, I've been teaching a few people privately. I had a mother and a daughter, and every one of them had such positive result from the whole course put together, what we did next happen. I
Yeah.
used to teach it, but just jade egg and a couple of exercises. But now with the vaginal infusion, with the clapper, with the belly button, with Wolfe Non-Surgical, and I also follow up with Wolfe Non-Surgical. Been doing a lot of pelvic clearance since I've been back, and this is just amazing. The whole Braveheart Nation, three courses together. Now Daryl has brought up the healing circle. That is, and even amazing. If you do not want to teach, I looked at it and I've shared this with people. If you don't want to teach, the healing circle and the pelvic restoration together is a beautiful combination.
Wouldn't that's a really nice simple package for, I think, for a woman
Yeah.
who wants to just sort of get a a, a feeling of what is a whole life coach, what that looks like, a little bit of Wolf Non-Surgical, and really look after themselves with the pelvic health, right?
Yes. Yes. I
Yeah.
hope I answered your question.
Well, absolutely. I'm just so curious to know about your story. I mean, even just what you're sharing, because having not experienced or have any
You're
friends who
curious
have.
about what? Sorry?
Oh my gosh, my sound is just no good. I'm just curious about about your story. And because I personally don't have anybody in my world who has had chemo or, so I don't know that experience, but I know that there's women out there who have experienced what you have experienced. And you're coming at it from a different angle. Many women would just like power through head down, but to hear that you're going through that you went through, how do I center myself? What do I need to do to make myself whole from the inside out, right? From the energy, from the source energy and outwards, because ultimately I believe that that's where it all stems from. And if your energy, if your little light is not as bright as it should be, you need to center that, brighten it up, right? Like the
So
sunshine.
how do I do that? One simple word: mind your own business.
I love it. That's my favorite thing to do. Isn't that the truth?
Yeah, yeah. Yin yoga teaches you to look into yourself.
Yeah.
I always say, look into yourself. Don't look outside at anyone else, what they're doing, she can get this pose better than I can. No, you do what you can within yourself and you look into yourself and you feel every muscle fiber in your body when you work,
Mm,
and you observe how you feel, how your body reacts, how your tissues, your muscle, your every organ, every gland, every connective tissue, everything, all the connections, you feel it within yourself. And I call it body reading. And it's very important for us to, like I said, mind your own business, and also disallow negative energy, people with negative energy, when they come to, hey, sorry,
let it go.
excuse me, yeah, let it go. No, it's
Yep.
okay. Calm the person down. Sometimes I get into that state as well. Nobody's perfect. We all go through that, and then I have to go 3 to 1. I got it. I can't. I'm holding on to my thing.
Yep. Yep.
I've got this. Then I calm myself down. I do a lot of inner smile meditation as I
Hmm.
walk throughout my day. I do a lot of inner smile meditation, even if it's 1 minute, even if it's 30 seconds. I do that and I get myself aligned, and then I find it helps me a lot. So that's why I brought this into the course, the inner smile, because whatever we've done in the course is what I find has benefited me in my healing journey. And yeah, so mind your own business. Keep looking to yourself. Check yourself in. Check into yourself entirely all day long.
Yeah.
And
Even with you just saying that, just hearing you speak that makes me go inwards and check myself out from the inside and just feel that vibration just come out and just, like I can't even
totally.
explain it, but just hearing you say it brings me into that center. And I think if people can spend to avoid, having to have chemo or having to avoid that, to spend some time in that zone, even if it's like a minute, even if it's a minute, if you just take
Yeah.
that moment to be centered, to be aware of the now, to take that moment to breathe, to feel the wind, to hear the birds, to, feel your feet on the floor. Like, so simple. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to set up this whole meditation, candles, incense, you know, chim chime
No,
music, nothing. No, you don't need to do that. You need to spend, let's say you're doing the dishes, you need to spend 2 seconds, put your hands down, close your eyes, feel the warm water, feel your feet on the ground, listen to your kids screaming in the background.
yeah,
and
yeah.
love
Be
and
your
love
own
that you
best
hear
friend.
them. Yes. Mind your own
Be your own
business.
best friend. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's
Enjoy
so
your own
lovely.
company. It's for some people it's very hard to do, but
Why do
finding
you
that
think that
getting
is?
the inner
Why do you
pardon.
think that is? Why do you think that is? Why do you think people have a
This
hard time being
the
their own
mind is
best
too
friend?
busy. They and they have cravings. Letting go of the cravings.
What do you mean by
It's
cravings? Cravings like food or cravings like
craving for
media?
everything. Craving for food, craving for company, craving for noise, craving for sound, craving for because they don't hear their own voice, they don't hear their own sound,
Mm.
they don't hear their own heart, they don't listen to the I mean we say we do sometimes, but we look for we do not drop the aversions, and we have cravings. So cravings and aversions is the major distraction in our life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you I go back to my inner smile, I go back to my 3 2 1, I got it, I go back to my uh um it, checking myself in and said, oh, why am I, what's going on with me? Okay, not my business. I get nothing to do with me. I smile to myself and I go on with my day, and my mind's clear. And
Mm-hmm.
t- judging, we tend to judge, and that's another thing. We as human beings, we are probably in school, we are taught already, she's better than him, husband, I ought to be better. We're already judging. Why is she wearing this today and not that? Why is it my business, nothing to do with me? So simple things, because now I have my 2 grandchildren here, I'm very mindful to speak only positive words. And if they're comparing and say he's better than me, so that's another reason why I'm doing this course and teaching this, because my granddaughter, for the next generation, we
Mm-hmm.
want them to learn that and to know that and to pass it on for the next generation to come in. And I think it's very important to see young little girls. And you have a daughter yourself. And when I see her, I say, oh my goodness, she's so blessed to have a mom who can, who exposed her to such learning, such an
Yeah.
early age. How beautiful is that? She
Yeah.
goes on her journey of self-exploration, but she always checks into herself. And she has the wristband says 3 to 1, I got it.
She sure
You
does.
know, simple steps like this for us. Um,
You know what she loves to
yeah,
do? She loves
pardon?
she loves to do the mirror work. Did you hear that? My daughter, she'll go in front of the mirror and she's like, "Mom, I just feel like a rock star in front of the mirror." She'd be like, "Hey,"
Well, she is a rock
she
star.
just
She is,
she'd be like, "Hi." You know?
oh,
she just has she just has such a good time, and
oh,
she's a
fantastic.
teenager, so to watch, don't tell her I told you that, to as a teenager, to what you just said, to be able to um have that start, that we, and yourself with your grandkids, that we're able to share, and that anybody, anyone even listening, anyone within our voice right now can share or learn. First learn, right? Go and learn it. Braveheart Circle. But go and learn it and then share it with the next generation, because holy macaroni, we're going to need some help with the next generation, you know.
Yes, 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 yes. That's why this is the Braveheart Women Show. Anyone listening in, you need to look into the courses that Daryl has
Yeah.
and Sage are traveling with. If you don't have time to do all two courses or all three courses, the Brave Heart Healing Circle, the pelvic restoration course, it's magical. It will help you on your journey of self-learning, self-discovery, self-loving.
Yeah.
And then, which always leads to self-healing, is healing ourselves spiritually, emotionally, and physically. Is so helpful. I enjoy, I love it. I
Yeah.
think it's amazing.
It is a
And
journey.
it, yeah, it's a beautiful journey. And I implore everyone to look into it. The pelvic restoration is, I'm working with it and working on it and always improving it every time I do a course. And I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
Anyone watching,
Yeah.
come on board and join us.
Anyone with a pelvis or anyone with a pelvic
Vagina.
vagina. That's anyway. Anyone with a pelvis. No, everybody has a pelvis. Anyway,
Yeah.
so we are going to be in Florida. We're going to be in Barrie, Ontario. We're going to be in Calgary, Alberta. We're going to be in Coffs Harbour, Australia. We're going to be, I think there's going to be some lectures in Texas. There's going to be lectures in Chicago. They're everywhere. Okay, so nobody has any reason not to miss out, right? BraveheartNation.com, NWPWorldTour.com, and you can join Serena and Lorraine and Alicia and Simran and learn the pelvic restoration course, Pain Free Pelvis. And I think there's so much to learn and there's so many opportunities, right?
Yeah, and it's not difficult. You take what you can in the time that you can do, and anything more, you just work yourself slowly with. It's simple, it's straightforward. It's just learning to love yourself and accept yourself as you are.
And
How
mind your
beautiful is
own
that?
darn business.
That's right. The
All
way
right.
you were created, yeah, it's beautiful.
I love it. Serena, thank you so much for your time. It's been lovely to chat.
Thank you.
Finally connect with
Finally,
you. Yes, finally to connect with you.
my
And
apologies.
no, that's good. And I hope to see you somewhere on tour. I won't be in Florida, but who knows where I'm going to show up. So I hope to see you soon.
Okay, great. Look forward to seeing you again, Alicia. Thank you.
All right, you ready?
This one.
Bravehearts, ready? Three,
Three,
two,
two,
one.
one.
We got
I
this.
got it!
Yeah, I love it.
Hang
All
on to
right.
my laptop. Okay.
See you soon.